Good afternoon. Yes, welcome. Welcome at home and welcome to our community online and in the room. My name is Penelope. My pronouns are she, her, and we are so glad you're here. Let's sing together. Do it. Hey, welcome. Welcome, Doreen. Yes.
In the morning when I get out of bed, I claim a blessing. I claim a blessing. I claim a blessing. Before I even lift my head, I claim a blessing. I claim a blessing.
Doesn't it feel good?
I claim a blessing. This is how I start my day, knowing good is on the way. I am claiming perfect health, love and laughter, friends and wealth. In the morning when I get out of bed, I claim a blessing. I claim a blessing. I claim a blessing. Before I even lift my head, I claim a blessing. I claim a blessing. I claim a blessing.
Let's go around one more time.
In the morning when I get out of bed, I claim a blessing. I claim a blessing. I claim a blessing. Before I even lift my head, I claim a blessing. I claim a blessing. I claim a blessing.
If it feels comfortable to do so, please stand as we sing together. Grateful.
Yes.
Put your hands together.
I am grateful, grateful for this day, for the love we share, the life we made, and I give thanks for all the many ways that the love of God appears. I am grateful, so grateful for this day, for the love we share, the life we made, and I give thanks for all the many ways that the love of God appears. Ooh, I am grateful, so grateful, grateful for this day, for the love we share, the life we made, and I give thanks for all the many ways that the love of God appears. I am grateful, so grateful, grateful for this day, for the love we share, and the life we make, and I give thanks for all the many ways that the love of God appears.
Amen.
Yes, the love of God is here.
Yes, you sound great. Yeah, please be seated. Thank you so much.
All right, all right. Good afternoon, everybody. Hey! Oh, all right. Good afternoon. Welcome to Spiritual Living Center of Atlanta. My name is David Alexander. My pronouns are he and his. Welcome into this space. So glad that you're here. Welcome online, everybody watching on Facebook, on YouTube Live, either today or whenever you choose to tune into this service. We're grateful for your presence, virtually and physically. This is a great day to be in community together. We need each other at this time, I'm telling you. I don't know about you, but I wasn't here last week. Thank you, Reverend Susan Zoller, for stepping in last minute for me. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. Did a great job, and I don't know about you, but I've had a challenging week. Having school-age children, it's been a challenging week. So I'm glad to be in community today. I'm glad to be in this space where we get to pray and meditate and be in spiritual practice together, and also to talk about our monthly series, which is on building peace. And so we're going to get into it today in just a little bit. Our affirmation, first of all, if you're new, here for the first time, checking us out, we're grateful that you're here. Make yourself known to our ushers and greeters at the end of the service in the hallway, and we'll give you some information about our community, opportunity for you to share your information with us if you'd like to stay in contact with us by email, etc. Also, just go to our website, slca.com. There's a little tab there that says a little tab there that says I'm new, and you click on that, and it'll give you all kinds of information about our community you can check out and watch previous services on the website, also on YouTube, etc. And so our affirmation for this month-long series on building peace is this. I'm going to go through it one time. It was written by our associate minister, Reverend Jean Bell, and then I'll ask you to repeat it after me, and we'll do it all together in one voice. It says, realizing my life is rooted in pure spirit, everyone I encounter, I will greet in peace and love. For I know that in me is the peace that passes all understanding. I am anchored in this peace, and it overflows out into every aspect of my life. Peace in my mind, I am peace. Peace in my relationships, I am peace. Peace in my family, I am peace. Peace in the world, I am peace. Let's take a deep breath, and let's move through it together in one voice. Realizing my life is rooted in pure spirit, everyone I encounter, I will greet in peace and love. For I know in me is the peace that passes all understanding. I am anchored in this peace, and it overflows out into every aspect of my life. Peace in my mind, I am peace. Peace in my relationships, I am peace. Peace in my family, I am peace. Peace in the world, I am peace. And so it is. And let's welcome Jamel Morris for our announcements today.
Great afternoon, everyone. Glad to be here with you today. My name is Jamel Morris, and I serve on the creative arts team here at SLCA. We have so many great opportunities to connect, grow, serve, and give at SLCA. And for more information about today's announcements and other opportunities, please scan the QR code found on your monitor. Visioning is vital to the sustainability of SLCA, and today at 5 p.m. SLCA's practitioner, Baji Daniels. Is Baji in the house? Not yet. Baji Daniels will step in for Reverend Jean and lead our community in a vision for SLCA. This opportunity takes place every second Sunday, and we would love you to join in. Are you curious about certain spiritual practices but have few opportunities to discuss it with like-minded people? Well, next Sunday, during our 5 o'clock hour, we will continue a monthly discussion group exploring topics that may be hard to discuss with your friends and family. This is one of the most popular workshops, so if you have not joined in yet, please check it out. SLCA's practitioner, Tony Jenkins, is ready to answer any question. Tony, are you in the house? You want to see this fella right here. Join us and let's talk about it. Reverend Dr. David Alexander is excited to offer Exploring the Roots of Science of Mind. This SLCSL certified class is 10 weeks. This is our first hybrid format of self-study. On demand is 10 weeks. This is our first hybrid format, format of study on demand. Let me start over. How about this? Reverend Dr. David Alexander is excited to offer Exploring the Roots of Science of Mind. This CSL certified class is 10 weeks. This is our first hybrid format of self-study, on-demand content, and 5 Zoom sessions. Head on over to newthoughtheducation.com now to reserve your spots. Whew. Voting is not our right, but our obligation. All right? Your vote matters. I hope all you all know that your vote matters. It has come to our attention that some registered voters in Georgia have somehow suddenly become unregistered, which is not cool. We have even had those in our community that have been affected by this. Scan the QR code on the screen to see if you are still listed as an active voter. Let's make sure you're active. Check frequently in the weeks leading to the election to confirm you are still listed as active. Remember, your vote matters. As our community grows, we are looking for those willing to volunteer. We need your help. Please consider donating one Sunday a month and serve on our many SLCA teams. We are specifically looking for those to join our hospitality team. Please speak with Shannon after service to find the perfect way you can serve. Shannon, can you let them know who you are? That gentleman right there. Talk to him. Thank you for joining us today. We look forward to visiting you after service in the social hall for food and fellowship. Remember, you belong.
Jamel. Take a deep breath. Open your mind. Unfold your heart. Relax your senses. Feel every part. You ain't got a thing to fear. Looks like love is growing here. So take your guard and let it down. Go deep up still until you come unwound, unbound. Breathe every breath. Release your cringe. Love without waiting. Slowly unhinge. You ain't got a thing to fear. Looks like love is growing here. So take your guard and let it down. Go deeper still until you come unwound. Unbound.
That which created all, created me, created everyone, everything, every atom, molecule, every planet spinning in space, every universe. And the impulse of this divine creative intelligence is for the growth, expansion, the greater good of that which is created. And sometimes I may not feel that I can see that greater good. I may feel that this seems impossible with what is going on around me, but I know within me that that which created me created all and is ever expanding. When things seem contractive, I remind myself to step back and take a bigger view. Looking too closely distorts things, and so I step back and remember that even if I cannot see the grand overall situation as it is evolving, I have faith that it is evolving and creating more and greater. And sometimes it seems like the few are sacrificed for the greater good. And yet I know that life is everlasting. Its impulse is always to create more life. And so as I look at things, I remind myself that in truth, something within me always knows what to do. Something within me can lead me. I allow myself to remember that and to ground myself in it in every cell of my body. So that when I forget for a moment, should I do so, that comes back up and says, be of good faith. Things are expanding. More good is being created. And I know that actually in the history of this world, things are more peaceful than they have ever been, even though that can seem hard to believe. And I know that each one of us, when we get quiet and we listen, we'll feel what we need to do. When I act from my ego self, I am not nearly as joy-filled. I am not nearly as creative as I am when I go within and let the true spirit within me speak clearly through me. Because I am always guided. There is something within. It is my individualized piece of God, of intelligence, by whatever name, call Allah, Yahweh, the Atman. And so I know right now that when things seem the darkest, there is light. And my help, my guidance, my very being looks up to the hills. I lift my vision, in other words, to know what is mine to do and how to play a part that is constructive. I do not deny the pain that some people are experiencing, the loss they feel, perhaps the anger, the rage, but I know that we have the ability to create a world that truly supports everyone. That we have a kind word, a gentle spirit that can speak without saying a word. And I know that I am part of that, and I help others to lift their vision and to know a greater truth. And I bless this center, which has given me so much, that I learned the truth of my being and the truth of these words I speak here. So I am exceedingly grateful for this center, for every hand all throughout history that has brought this day together. Grateful for Reverend David and Penelope and Shannon and Jean, and for everyone who contributes. I know that when I forget for some moment or two, that there is always someone in support of me, reminding me of a greater truth. I stand here in support of others, helping others to know and remember their truth, and that when pain comes, as it inevitably does, there is light. There is light, there is love, and there is greater peace here, now, and evermore coming. And for this I am grateful. I know the truth. I know my words go forth to heal and to prosper in that law which unfailingly says yes. So I simply say thank you. Namaste. Aloha. Blessed be. Amen. Shalom. And if you care to join me, and so it is.
You can stop waiting for love to find you. Look inside your heart. Love's already who you are. So lift up your voice. Let it be heard. Tell me your stories, tell it to me. Don't leave out a word. 'Cause I think I have been there too, and I'm a seeker just like you. You ain't got a thing to fear. Looks like love is growing here. So take your guard and let it down. Go deeper still until you come unwound. Unbound.
Amen. Amen. Reverend Susan Zoller.
Yes, thank you, Reverend Susan, for that beautiful prayer. Thank you, Penelope. It's good to be in community together. This is where we get to grow and learn and get charged up and all of those things. And this is our time of circulation in our community, where we participate in the giving and receiving and the financial support of this center. The ways to give are on the screen for you. You can text, you can scan the QR code, you can visit the website. We can even do the old-fashioned envelopes and checks by the door, and also our ushers have those envelopes if you need them. If you're part of the monthly circulation club, somebody who's set up automatically to tithe or to circulate any portion of your good to this community, thank you so much. You're part of a growing community, over 120 people who do that every month on an automatic basis. And if you're not in that group and you're giving as you're inspired or as you are learning about this community, we welcome you. We're grateful for your gifts and your support, and know that it takes all of us. It takes all of us in this room. It takes everybody watching online. This community reaches out to thousands of people every week, and it takes every single one of us to do our part, whatever that is, because we need spiritual communities in this time, and we need your support. So this is our time of giving and receiving. As you prepare your gifts to give, let us also prepare our hearts to receive, and to receive a testimony of what your gifts are doing, the impact that you are making. And so today's testimony is coming from the one and only star of stage, Terry Burrell. Let's welcome her.
This is a little nerve-wracking. I'm used to having a script in my hand, but anyway. I've always been a seeker. I was raised in the Catholic faith, and I loved it so much I even wanted to be a nun, but I was much younger then. But there was always something that was missing for me, something that was just not satisfying for me, until somebody introduced me to Unity in New York City. And I sat at Lincoln Center and listened to Eric Butterworth, and the feeling that I had was that I was home. My soul was home. And after a while, I actually left Unity to see, well, let me see if this is real or not. And I started going to more traditional kinds of churches. And one of them that I settled on was a kind of Christian church. There were some cast members of mine who went, and they seemed to be family and very happy, and I went. And they had prayer every Friday. And I went one afternoon, Carol Studios on 41st Street. And there was a woman there, we were about the same age, and she was very pregnant. And she asked me if we could pray together. I said, sure. And afterwards, the minister pulled me aside and said, God has spoken to me and told me to tell you that you should be very careful and not be around people like that. And I looked at her and I thought, okay. Well, God spoke to me too and said, get thee out of there and get back to Unity. Few months went by, and I ran into somebody who I had become friendly with at that church. And he said, hey, I haven't seen you around, you know. What's happening? And I said, well, I went back to Unity. And his whole face fell, and he got very serious. And he said, well, you know what, Terry? There are people who would think that you're a heathen. I said, yeah. And you know what? I want you to take a good look at this face. I'm a happy heathen. And I moved to Atlanta, Georgia, and I found this beautiful community where it feels like home to me. Whether I'm in the building or not, it's home. All of you feel like beloveds to me, all of you, and some of you I've known for a long time. So I've been a happy heathen in this philosophy now for a little more than 30 years, and I will continue to be a happy heathen. Thank you. I think I'm supposed to cue somebody. So let's say our prayer for grateful giving. I live in a universe of abundance. As I freely and joyfully give, I join in the divine flow. And all that I share with life returns to me multiplied abundantly. And so it is.
So it is, Terry Burrell. I'm going to need you to sing along with me when we get to the part. I'll tell you where it is. your eyes, I recognize the truth, the beauty, and the power of pure spirit. I know who you are beyond what you have done, beyond what has happened to you. I see your essence and its magnificence. I see it in you and in me. I salute the divine in you and in us all. One heart, one love, one life, one spirit. One heart, one love, one life, one spirit. One heart, one love, one life, one life, one spirit. Come on. One heart, one love, one life, one life, one spirit. One more time. One heart, one love, one life, one life, one spirit. This is the day you are a blessing to the world. You are all you know you can be. This day you shine for the divine. One heart, one love, one life, one spirit. Let's go back around. One heart, one love, one life, one spirit, yeah. One heart, one love, one life, one spirit. One heart, one love, one life. One more time. One spirit. One heart, one love, one life, one spirit. Amen. Thank you. Yeah, thank you so much.
All right. Penelope Williams. Yeah. Wonderful, wonderful. All right. We bless these gifts with love from our hearts. We know that the love of the heart of every soul that they have come from, that they represent online and in the room, that they are received, pressed down and overflowing into the life of this ministry to fill every need and to flow back into our lives as joy and as love, as peace and abundance overflowing. For this and more, I say thank you, God, and so it is. So it is. All right. And good afternoon again, everybody. You know what? I don't have my clicker. And as we get ready for today's message, is part 2 of this series, Building Peace. It is always timely. If we can go back to the first slide, please. I'll wait till I get my clicker. But let's just take a moment and open our hearts for the families of Richard and Mason, Christian and Christina, and for everybody in Winder, Georgia, to Appalachia High School. For the whole ripple effect that we feel, whether you're near or far, to this particular moment. For those watching online, for those who live down the road, we dedicate our time in consciousness together today to this moment that God has called us to wake up and to do what is ours to do. and to help build a world that works for everyone. And so it is. And so we believe, thank you, in this idea that says we are all individualizations of the one Spirit, that all people are individualizations of this one Spirit. This is what Ernest Holmes, the author of Science of Mind, the founder of our tradition, our branch, our brand of spiritual teaching here, tells us. That we believe in the incarnation of the Spirit into individual life, and that every single one of us is that incarnation, is that individualization of that one Spirit. And that when we know that when we tap into that there is a peace that comes from the understanding, from the deep study, from the deep practice. It is that peace that passes all understanding, and that peace is not just the absence of something, which is the way we often think of it, but that peace is the presence of something. Right? It's not, well, there's peace when conflict is no longer there. Like, no, there's peace is the presence of something dynamic, something magnificent, something full in expression. And it's that dynamic recognition of the good in you and the God in you and the God in me. I've been thinking a lot about peace this week because my sense of peace, living only about 20 minutes or 15 miles from the shooting, it disturbed my peace. They all do, every single incident. But when it hits your proximity, it hits a little bit different, right? And even more in particular in this particular case, and I wrote about it on our blog. We have a blog on our website, by the way, in case you didn't know. And so I did post something on there that my son came home from school that day, having on that same day their school practiced a hard lockdown drill for an active shooter. Now, they didn't call it that. They didn't use those terms, but it was a hard lockdown drill. And I said, well, what did you have to do? He said, well, we had to hide somewhere in the classroom where we couldn't be seen. And they turned all the lights out. And we couldn't say anything or move until the police officer came through our classroom and told us that we could move. And now you imagine me walking home with him. I'm an emotional wreck. He's fine. He's skipping and jumping. It was a game of hide and seek, okay? But it was the same day. And so my sense of peace was disturbed. So I want to talk about what do we do when our sense of peace is disturbed, when peace is about equilibrium, it's about balance, it's about harmony with ourselves and also with the world around us. And we know from a spiritual perspective that when we tune into this spiritual truth, that we are each made and manifest in this magnificence, that we are each byproducts of this one, that we can move beyond the sense of othering in the world, and we can tap into that sense of oneness, that there is that place called peace, and we can look into the eyes of another and see God. Unless we can't. Right? Can we just be real for a minute? Unless we can't. Unless what happens when it's difficult to come to know that God presence. Now, we know that what we first have to do is know that God presence within ourselves. And if we don't know it within ourselves, then it's really hard to try to recognize it in somebody else. Particularly if that somebody else is a representative somehow, some way in our mind, be it through our bias or our fears or our programming or our socialization or our own prejudice or whatever the case may be, conscious or unconscious, is a part of what we have identified as the other or the problem, right? You cannot simply go, oh, well, it's God in you. The God in me recognizes the God in you. If you don't first have the cultivation of that essence of the God presence within you. What happens when, through society or through parenting or through religion, we are told that that presence, that peace, that God within you is not there, or that you're not worthy of it, or that you have to earn it. And to some degree, this has probably happened to all of us. And we probably coped in some way and become happy heathens, right? Amen. We'll be using that all week. Happy heathens. And we probably have all worked out some path of healing with that, right? Through relationships, and particularly those of us in this room or watching online, we found our way to a spirituality that works for us. And it is less of this and more of that and whatever, right? But in some places, it breaks us down completely. And we are disconnected and disassociated from the deeper truth of who we are. And when that breakdown happens repeatedly in society, we call it a pattern. And what we know is that as we know that consciousness is everything, we know that patterns are really important to pay attention to, right? If you want healing, if you want transformation, if you want to transcend, if you want things to improve, then paying attention to patterns is essential. So digging into what is driving, what is contributing to the pattern of dis-ease in society, or even in ourselves, can be difficult. It can be difficult because it's confronting us in ways that disturbs us. Because peace is about balance, and it's about harmony. And so my investigation of that which is disturbing me might keep me or disturb any sense of peace that I have left. But remember, peace is not the absence of something. Peace is the presence of something. And so we know a couple of things going into this exploration that I'm inviting us into this month as we look at the principles of building peace. First, peace is not the absence of something, it's the presence of something, about balance and about harmony and about wholeness. And we know that consciousness is everything, right? Consciousness is everything. Everything that we see, everything that we're experiencing is a byproduct of consciousness, whether it's conscious consciousness or unconscious consciousness, right? Most of it is unconscious consciousness that we're experiencing, and then we're bumping up against the patterns of unconscious consciousness. But regardless, conscious or unconscious, it's all consciousness. Consciousness is everything. And that the belief systems behind those places where we're bumping up against things run everything. Belief systems run everything, right? They run our politics, they run our bodies, they run the thoughts in our heads, it's everything. Everything essentially boils down to a set of belief systems that we have adopted, that we've accepted, that we've not challenged, that we have whatever, that we've perpetuated, promoted, etc., right? And then we further know, if we can accept those two things, then we can further know that there's a desire for change within us, that there's a sense of peace, a sense of balance, a sense of homeostasis, a sense of transformation, a greater sense of rising up and rising out of any sense of disturbance or dis-ease in our lives, and that because that is always drawing us forward, that change requires examining the systems that are in place. That change, just because we want it and we really want it, it doesn't just happen. It doesn't just happen because we want it. It doesn't just happen because we pray about it. It doesn't just happen because we deeply desire it, but rather we say, we want it. I know there's something within me that knows I can have it. I'm cultivating an awareness through my prayer, practice, and study and meditation, or whatever it might be, that I'm worthy of it. And now, the moment of change comes, and I have to examine belief systems. I have to examine consciousness. And that examination process might disturb the rest of my systems of knowing. Are you with me? Yes. which is why most people don't change, because it's hard. Because it means it might change other things that we were like, well, I wasn't trying to change that. Right? I was just trying to make more money or have a better relationship or, whatever, right? I wasn't trying to change all those other things. And we've been told along the way that if we want peace, then we need to come from peace. If we want prosperity, we need to come from prosperity. Whatever it is that we want, we need to cultivate it from within. And we want to change the world, and we have to cultivate the essence within inside of ourselves to be that thing. And that is true. That is ultimately the essence of where everything comes from, because everything comes out of the one, and we are the one. But again, we also work and live in systems and structures around us. And so working for peace in the world requires systemic examination of systemic structures, and it requires systemic change. It requires, in essence, what I'm trying to say here is it requires more than what I sometimes refer to as Pop-Tart theology. Where are my Gen X people at? Come on. Where are my Pop-Tart eaters, right? Now a Pop-Tart. Y'all know what a Pop-Tart is? Now a Pop-Tart by itself, in its native state, if we can call it that, is not much to brag about, right? The pastry casing is dry and it hasn't been toasted yet, and who knows what chemicals are in it to preserve it the way that it is, and it's just cold. And the icing, if it's got icing on top, that icing is hard and crusted, and there's nothing sweet about it. And the substance inside is cold and gelatinous. It's a Pop-Tart. Come on, talk to me, somebody. A Pop-Tart in its native state isn't much. But put it in a toaster. Come on. And give it 90 seconds. Hey, now something's cooking. That outside gets toasty and crunchy and warm and softens up, and the frosting suddenly becomes sweet and it doesn't crack off in whole pieces. I know some of y'all, I know the people who ate Pop-Tarts cold. I can tell who you are. Right? Like an ice shelf, the whole thing, just one big crunch of the frosting. But if you put it in the toaster, then it all warms up and the inside gets gooey and things begin to come together. And so we're told that if we want change in the world, if we want to transform, then we got to do that inside work. We got to go within. We got to sit down into the toaster for 90 seconds and just get all nice and warm and gooey on the inside. And then everything out there will change for us. And there is truth to the idea of our individual practice, that we must come from a place of wholeness. And in fact, doing it in communities is especially important. Next week, we're going to, in this time of service, we're going to dive into some deep spiritual practice together. Spirit was speaking to me last night as I was preparing today, and I wanted to go into a deep dive of some things today, but I said, no, let me piece it together a little bit more and plan it for next week. So tell your friends next week you want to be here, because we're gonna go deep into some collective spiritual practice. But what I'm saying here is that we've got to go beyond just Pop-Tart theology, where we do the inner work and we get all warm and gooey inside, and then when we come out, and it's like we're the toaster in Oprah's house, and it's like, you get enlightenment, and you get enlightenment, and you get enlightenment. No. Come on, work with me today. When it comes to building a society, we need systemic structures that support and sustain peace, more than just our own peace activation within inside of ourselves. Because here's the thing, a world that works for everyone is created through the hands of emancipated souls. You got to become that emancipated soul. But if your enlightenment work isn't leading you to real hands-on work, then it's just Pop-Tart theology. Then it's just warm and sweet and gooey on the inside, but there's nothing of substance happening in the world. And we want to move beyond that. We want to do the inside work so that we are the hands that transform society. We're the hands that change the voting structure. We're the hands that vote people out who aren't activating responsible gun laws. We're the people who change who's on the school board. We run for the school board. We run for dog catcher if we got to. But we get involved in the system ourselves. We volunteer. We show up. We participate in the system because we've done the inner work of consciousness and we see that it's all connected. Are you understanding what I'm saying? And so, when it comes to healing, whatever it is that we have to heal that has led to this disease and endemic of gun violence in our society, in particular, we speak a lot of universally. In New Thought, we speak of things in a universal way that whoever's listening can relate to. But today, in particular, I want to say in our society. In our society. Because the rest of the world doesn't have this problem. In our society, that something needs to be healed. And what I've discovered is that over the years, as I've talked about it, every time it comes up, and we all know the pattern, the outrage, the online discussions, the TV programs, the focus in the news cycle, the thoughts and prayers, and then it gets lost in the news. Already we've had 2 more shootings. There's another high school shooting in Maryland in the restroom, just two days afterwards, I believe, and then last night, a mass shooting on the freeway in Kentucky, outside Lexington. So already this particular one that we're having our hearts and minds about is getting buried in the news, and yesterday's news, more and more and more. And so one of the things I've discovered is that people, we freeze up. And I noticed it for myself even this week that I had my outrage, I had my fears, I had all the feelings going on. And then I had the lack of the capacity to engage in productive conversation because of all the roadblocks that we put in front of productive conversation. Right? The one side says, well, we can't talk about it yet, it's too soon. Right? And the other side, well, we can't do that, and well, da, 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 da. And so what I've had to do for myself is to try to find a way to break through and talk about it in a different way. And I'm wondering if we can really have the conversation so that we can get somewhere. And I'm wondering if we had it here, and we're going to work on some things. I've already reached out to, we built a network of clergy for the voting issues, the voter suppression stuff that's happening. And so we're already activating that network and talking, and we're looking at maybe something in the spring that's a bigger education forum and some other stuff. And so we're taking our time to plan that carefully and get the right people involved. But that shouldn't delay our necessity to dive deep into a conversation. And so what I had to do for myself was change how we talk about it, because it's like this, the silence, the people are like nobody really, like people just get real. So could change the way we talk about it a little bit. So here's the situation. I'm wondering if you're willing to help me out. You willing to help me out? Here's the situation. And if I could have, if 5 people want to come up here, you're not going to have to talk into the mic. I'm going to make you chatter for a little bit, but you can just go if you want to do that. That's fine, because it really doesn't matter. But 5 people who want to come up, if you want to come up, come on up in a moment. So think about it, and then I'm going to give you kind of just something to represent. So here's the situation. The situation is we have a kid who it's ice cream day at school. Ice cream's safe to talk about, right? We already talked about Pop-Tarts. I got you all warmed up. So it's ice cream day at school, and this kid didn't have their money for ice cream, and it blew up and got so upset about not having his money for ice cream. And right next to the window, for God knows what reason, but we'll discuss it as we go along, of the ice cream window is a bucket of scissors. And he grabbed one of the scissors, and now he's threatening the other kids, okay? That's the situation. I need 5 people up here who want to represent an angle of this particular story so we can have a conversation about it. You're not going to have to talk to the congregation, but just to stand in and just kind of represent kind of what's going on. 5 people. Anybody? Come on up. Just come on up right up here. Come from this side or the other side. We got more than 5. Thank you so much. Okay. So this is the situation. You can imagine there's probably lots of dynamics and causative elements to this problem, right? Like what is contributing to this problem and how do we fix it? That's what we're trying to get to here. So do not open this thing up. You can look at this side, you can look at that side, but do not open it up, okay? Just look at either side, but do not open it up. Okay, so we have some people who are representing, there's at least 5 different kind of ways of looking at this issue and kind of what might be behind the issue, right? The situation is this kid has got sharp scissors, not them kindergarten scissors with the plastic edges rounded off. No, I'm talking about the steel, you know, the ones that you could use the handle for like brass knuckles and, you know, like long spiked heels, some serious scissors, right? Picked them up, threatening other kids because they're upset that they did not get ice cream. So, position number 1 says, bad apple theory. Now, so this person thinks just a bad apple, just one off. You know, all the other kids are fine. Everybody else is getting their ice cream. It's just every once in a while you get a bad apple. This kid's a bad apple. That's your position. This kid is a bad apple. This person says sugar addiction. Sugar addiction and bad nutrition in school. Sugar is in everything. Sugar is in everything. Sugar is in packages of carrots. And if this kid wasn't addicted to sugar, and if it wasn't the school system that fed poor things to, and the McDonald's and this and that and everything else, and it's all the sugar's fault, it's sugar addiction, and if the kid didn't have a sugar addiction, then he wouldn't be blowing up like this. Sugar addiction, that's the deal, right? This one, smartphones, video games, instant gratification. You know, it's constant. Just gimme, 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 boom, 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 stimulus, stimulus, stimulus. I always get what I want, and I get it right away, and I win points, and it's bing, 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 and it's Candy Crush, and it's all the things, and if he didn't have that, just take the dang devices away, and he wouldn't be blown up about some ice cream. You're getting the feeling? I'm getting the feelings. I'm getting the feelings of all these positions. And everybody's really into, oh, okay, this kid needs medication. That's the problem. This kid needs some medication. And if he has medication, then the medication he has needs to be adjusted. All right, nurse. and Tony here, the psychologist, bad parenting. Clearly, the parents have done something wrong. And if the parents were better parents and had done something, whatever, you can make up whatever you want, doesn't matter. If the parents had done something different or were doing something different, then this kid wouldn't be acting this way. Okay, so now just start talking about your position. Just start talking about your position. Just loudly. Yeah, start arguing. You're all very passionate about your position. You are right. And you are more right than the other person. Uh-huh. Y'all understand? All right, stop. Good job. Give them a hand. Every single person believes that they are right and that their position is more right than the person next to them. And they probably all have something to contribute to the collective conversation, some wisdom, some angle, right? But the situation is this. There's a bucket of scissors constantly available next to the ice cream window. We don't know why, but we're going to get to that in a minute. And the kid has the scissors in his hands. So without opening your piece of paper, I want you to think, forget your position for a minute. I want you to imagine this is a crisis situation. We agreed it's a crisis? Crisis situation, what is the first thing that we need to do in the crisis situation? De-escalate. And specifically, how do we de-escalate the situation? What is the thing that needs to happen? Okay, keep them as calm as possible. What else? Get the scissors out. Open up your paper, see what it says. What does it say? Remove the scissors. What does it say? Remove the scissors. What does it say? Remove the scissors. Remove the scissors. The first thing that we got to do is remove the scissors. Okay, give him a hand. You all are going to sit down. Thank you very much. And maybe there shouldn't be a bucket of scissors available next to the ice cream window. Now, it's a silly example, but I'm making it silly so that we don't get locked in. Oh, no. So keep the conversation open, because everywhere else I have the conversation and we talk about the real thing, everybody gets locked up into one of those positions and can't talk anymore. You understand? So here's it's a wonderful organization called Humanity United, something like that. Humanity United. They have this beautiful peace-building model. I know the text is small of the steps. I'm going to share them just briefly, but I'm actually going to share the personal version of them. You can look it up on their website, humanityunited.org. They're an NGO that gives away millions of dollars to peace-building efforts all over the world. They do really amazing things. And I was looking earlier, before the shooting, about peace-building activities and models and constructs and principles done by organizations, and this happens to be one that I really love. And there's something really important about this model that is critical to the conversation. In crisis management, we're always told, de-escalate, keep the kid calm, all the things that you heard, but remove the weapon. As quickly as possible, remove the weapon. Until you do, if a kid is screaming for your attention, daddy, 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 ask me how I know. Daddy, 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 right? And wants something, then the first thing I have to do is figure out the what, and I have to make sure that the child feels heard. Until the child feels heard, nothing else matters. I say, stop doing that, 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 stop. Ask me how I know, right? It's not going to work until the daddy, 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 daddy part gets heard, right? So the first step of this model from this organization, way, way, way up at the top, says, voices proximate to conflict are heard and trusted. And they're talking about global peace systems around the world. They're talking about, big construct, but we're going to try to break these principles down to very simple steps for us as individuals. Voices proximate, closest to the issue, are heard and trusted. Until you are heard and trusted, nothing else can happen. Nothing else can happen, right? And so that includes ourselves as we're building peace, that we listen to our intuition, that our experiences are real, right? You ever have somebody tell you, well, it's just, it's all God, it's all one. You're one with the, and you're an abundant being. And so the truth of who you are is, but you're really in pain and something's going on and it's really real and present for you. And right. And they've given you some spiritual bypass answer about how lofty and abundant and wonderful and loving the universe is, and that your perfect person is out there and da-da-da-da-da and all the, and you just want to, right? Say, stop it. Why? Because you're not being heard. Your feeling, your pain isn't being recognized. Which is why the way I teach it is your experiences are real. They're not the truth of who you are, but they're real. And both things can be true at the same time. There could be a greater truth even now, right? The truth of who I am is greater than my bank account. It's greater than my current status in my relationships. It's greater than my current health. It's greater than all of those things, even if those things are wonderful. The truth of who you are is bigger than your current status. That's true when you're down, that's true when you're up, that's true when you're in the middle trying to figure it out. It's true all the time, right? So we get to create space where we get to listen to what's really happening. And here it says voices proximate to those who know what's going on from the network, from the ground level. Number 2 says networks flourish, enable collective action and solidarity across peace actors. So networks flourish. That means the network that was here, all of these people that had something to contribute to the conversation, they get to be heard. And they get to say, you're right, maybe nutrition does have something to do with it. And maybe video game time does have something to do with it. And maybe the role that parents are playing does have something to do with it. And maybe, and let's create a network where we're addressing it not siloed or, one-off, but from a web of interaction that everything has something to do with it because it's all connected, right? So we build a table of support. Number 3, okay, I really want to get to some stuff down here at the bottom, so that's why I'm moving through this fast. Number 3 says, philanthropy is drastically reimagined with the basis of trust. So this is really cool in terms of what this organization does, because they basically say, like, how we do charity and how we fund really good ideas dramatically changes, and we don't do it from like top down, we do it from grassroots up, and their whole organization is about that. I'm not going to spend too much time on that, except to say that we fund good ideas. When I moved quickly into action around the voter suppression stuff, and we got a list together and a letter for clergy to sign, and we were trying to get it out as quickly as possible, and we were very successful. But there were some places along the way where I could see the potential for the roadblocks, particularly if we continued to do things like that. And it happens all the time in justice work, particularly, I hate using the polarizing language, but when we say people on the left, is that we get all into our territory. Well, whose project is it? And whose name is on the top? And whose name is at the signature line? And what banner does it go under? And what da-da-da? And well, I don't know. And right, and we get all stopped from participating and funding good ideas because it wasn't, well, that organization, they really should be the one doing it. And this organization, they've always been doing things like that in this area, in this realm, in this whatever. Like, stop it. Stop with the territory fighting and all the, right? It's just, so philanthropy gets dramatically reimagined. We support stuff, all genuine efforts that are trying to do good, all right? Number 4 says conflict management is managed by nonviolent means. Okay, so we have with de-escalation, all the things that we were talking about. Number 5, leaders who use violence are held to account. Leaders who use violence are held to account. Now we got to stop ourselves and ask ourselves some questions. Why is there a bucket of scissors in the cafeteria? Well, it turns out there is a governor, a principal. Let's call him Brian. And he gets a lot of money from the scissor lobby. And he believes in the free right of expression of arts and crafts, and that every child ought to be able to burst into arts and crafts and have access to the tools of arts and crafts whenever they choose. And why should they have to, out of their sudden moment of inspiration, where is their muse, Terry Burrell? They don't want to need to walk all the way back to their classroom and ask permission and get into the cabinet and do the other thing. They should just be able to decoupage and get to scrapbooking right then and there. And so scissors are available everywhere. And besides, as we know from the bad apple theory, everybody else can get ice cream and move along and have a good day without picking up a pair of scissors, so why can't the bad apples? And if you knowingly and repeatedly put scissors in the hands, in the space, in the ways in which they are used inappropriately and violently, we have to ask ourselves, is ignorance and neglect a form of violence? And we're about to find out in some of these court cases. We've been finding out in some of these court cases as the parents have been charged. But now we need to start looking at politicians who have TV ads where they're blowing up voting buckets with their AR-15 as a representative for that district, Barrow County has done, right? Send me to Washington, I'll get to the bottom of this stolen election, and then turns around and blows up a voting bucket that collects paper ballots with an AR-15. That's their representative in Congress. We have to ask ourselves if negligence and ignorance are forms of violence when we have all this other information. Because, number 6, Peace actors experience physical and psychological safety. Forget because this is a model about peace actors around the world and all of that. So forget that part for right now. We're breaking it down to our individual experience. Psychological and emotional, psychological and physiological safety does not come unless accountability is in place and nonviolent means are used. And so we can do all of the peace building and all of the internal work and all of the change the school nutrition system and all of the other things. But if we keep walking into environments where those who are accountable for the systems and the structures and the policies and the ways in which things are governed and structured are not held to account, psychological and physiological safety cannot be met. Why? Because we're walking into an environment that says, you don't see me, we go back to number one. Our voices aren't heard, we're the closest ones to the issue, and we're not heard, we're not seen, we're not valued. Our life doesn't matter, right? We have this happening over and over and over again. So we want a world that works for everyone, but physical and psychological, physiological safety cannot be met unless we start holding people accountable. Then, universal recognition of shared humanity. Namaste, the God in me honors the God in you. I understand that you're a creation of God and I'm a creation of God, and we're all creations of God. We can create and enhance this environment. And then, peace with all nature, all is well, peace between all peoples. But do you see where accountability, nonviolent means, and all of these, and being heard and valued as you are proximate to the issue, that all of these pieces of belonging and the structure in which, and the framework in which we create our society, how important that is to the manifestation of the byproduct that we want, which is a world that works for everyone. This is why we got to move past the simple answers of Pop-Tart theology of if everybody just did their inner work, then we'd all just pop out of the toaster at the same time and it would all be good. And we would pop out of the toaster and change some systems and structures, right? From within, because we know that deep peace within inside of ourselves. So next week, we're going to do that deep peace, because I don't want you to walk away here thinking, oh, you don't believe in doing the deep inner work. No, next week, that's all we're going to do. I'm going to talk less. We're going to experience more. The sermon is going to be an experiential of some deep inner peace-building work, some release, some healing, some all of those things. Tell your friends, if they don't come to this church, or they don't do church or whatever, you want to be here, because we're going to go deep, and we're just going to create experiential where we get to heal and cultivate that sense of peace within inside of ourselves. Good? Yes. Working for peace will require work. It will require inner work so that we can come from wholeness, but it will require active work on the outside to create systems and structures that support and sustain the peace that we choose to have. Enlightened souls build peace. Enlightened souls change systems. We do the inner work to become enlightened, or to cultivate that space of deeper awareness of our oneness so that we can show up as that oneness in physical form. You with me? Yes. Let's do it together. Take a deep breath as I invite the practitioners to come forward. Oh, I had one more thing to share, didn't I? Yeah, I think I did. Oh, we can't see that at all. We got to change the background, I think. I don't know how that happened, but anyway, there's one more quote in there. Peace comes from a sense of union with the whole. I have it on my screen. Peace comes from a sense of union with the whole. As the practitioners are available, come forward for prayer. Peace comes from a sense of union with the whole. Confusion comes from a sense of separation. And so we want to come from that sense of union with the whole. That's from Ernest Holmes, this thing called You. Our practitioners are always available to you by appointment online. There are practitioners in the chat as well as in the room. And right now I just invite you to join with us in heart and mind into that deep, deep transformative space of affirmative prayer, where we do indeed do that inner work to get in touch with that inner sense of wholeness. Peace comes from a connection with the wholeness, a deep sense of our oneness with the whole. There is one life, one power, one presence, one dynamic good, forever seeking to make itself known through all creation, through all life, through all moments. We see it because we see it in all of nature. We see the expression of beauty and harmony and the balance of the universe, forever seeking to express itself in terms of creativity and beauty and harmony. We see it when we look into the eyes of a child or a loved one. We see it when we deeply connect with ourselves. We feel it when we hear beautiful music or have a moment of peace to ourselves. We know that this presence is there. It's always there. And it ever desires to know itself more and more and more as you, as me, as all creation. So I affirm this divine activity as my life, as your life, as the life of the life divine, as the one thing that is always happening in and outside of our awareness of it. And so we tune deeply into our awareness of it. This one life is expressing in through and as me, in through and as you, and in through and as all life. We see the ways in which the universe of chaos and pain might be getting our attention, not to drag us away from our connection of oneness, but to draw us deeper into the work that we must do, so that we might see the change that we can be. We might see the place where we can make a difference. We might see the place where our humanity can show up and our divinity can shine through. We see it. We sense it. We're not absent or blind to it. We're present. And peace is not the absence of the conflict. It is the presence of something dynamic that comes from deep within your soul. I know that peace. I invite you to know that peace. I invite all of us to come from that peace now, and now, and now, and now. And if you are in tune with that peace and the ways in which it's activating your soul into your next divine right action for your life, for a life that works, for a world of harmony and good, then I simply invite you to affirm with me. And so it is, and so we are, and so we let it be. Peace and blessings. God bless you. Thank you for being here today.
Yes, yes, yes. I'm excited about next week. Please welcome Doreen back. Thank you, Reverend D. Shall we sing together our closing song? Let's do that. And we'll see you downstairs. Let's have some food together and some fellowship. Please stand as we sing together our closing song. Thanks for being with us online as well. We envision this world. We envision a world that works for everyone and for all of creation. We see all people, all beings as expressions of God. We see a world that works for everyone. We envision a world that works for everyone and for all of creation. We see all people, all beings as expressions of God. We see a world that works for everyone. We envision a world that works for everyone and for all of creation. We see all people, all beings as expressions of God. We see a world that works for everyone. We see a world that works for everyone. We see a world that works for everyone. Everyone, 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 everyone. Yes. Have a great weekend. Hope to see you downstairs, everybody. Thank you, Doreen.
Thank you. Thank you.
And a wonderful workshop at 5.